The next story that we have for today is on South Sudan. Unfortunately, in South Sudan, during a disarmament practice, so where civilians and other factions were returning their guns, there ended up being a confrontation between the South Sudanese army, known as the South Sudan People's Defense Force, and some of the civilians, and this fighting broke out to nearby villages and other people joined in the fighting. So at the end there were over 120 casualties, if I'm not mistaken. According to Al Jazeera, 82 of them were civilians and 45 were soldiers. So this disarmament that was going on was part of a peace agreement. So Lebanon, and so sorry, South Sudan, for some of you if you're not familiar, it is the world's youngest country. It got independence from Sudan only in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a country on the it's an East Central African country. And since then, they've pretty much been a civil war going on in South Sudan. And in February or March of this year, they signed a new peace agreement. So the peace agreement was signed between the South Sudanese president Salva Kiir and opposition leader Riek Machar. So this was signed in February after many months of negotiations. And I guess this disarmament practice or measure event was part of this peace accord, which ended up into a very bloody event. I mean, South Sudan is a country of just 11.5 million people and has had a civil war since its inception, pretty much since 2011, 2012. So out of the 11.5 million people, the UN estimates that 7.5 million of them need one form or another of humanitarian assistance or protection. Out of the 7.5 million, 50% are women and 50% are children. So the women, some of them are children and some are the adults. So I mean, it is really a country that's in a dire situation. And this news, I mean, I only got it because I have a South Sudan alert on my phone from Google. So if not, I'm not sure if it kind of made any of the mainstream media. Sam, do you ever see, or do you see South Sudan often in the media? I mean, the only place, and it is a big humanitarian, I mean, it's one of the UN's main, one of the countries where the UN is most active in terms of providing humanitarian aid. But unless I'm looking at Al Jazeera or some other channels that cover humanitarian affairs, you rarely hear about Sudan. It doesn't seem to be too important for Western media. What do you think?
No, from what I didn't hear the news you discussed. I didn't hear about that. I don't hear a lot about. I mean, I remember during their like when they were becoming independent, there was some coverage about the civil war and the history of it and all that. But no, not much. From what I recall, if I'm not mistaken, Sudan is oil rich though, and or they have some oil.
Yeah, but then
So
again, I don't know if Sudan is the one that has oil or if it's South Sudan or if
no,
it's both of
this
them.
is before. That's the thing. This is
Yeah.
before. From what I understood, North Sudan is richer than South Sudan, but the most of the oil was apparently on the border between the two. Like the way they drew the borders was quite controversial.
Interesting. Maybe this is something we need to dive a bit deeper in next time. Look at the oil.
Yeah.
I didn't hear much about that dynamic. I don't know.
No, I haven't heard much since the separation or anything. But yeah, I guess it's one of those countries that at the moment is not regarded as high priority by the media.
No, definitely. So I
So,
mean,
the question was the conflict with a specific tribe or a specific group of people from a specific religion or anything or
no, I mean at least in the story, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sure there are like so many fractions that were part of the civil war. I mean, it just mentioned the name of the town where they were near that this happened, and then they just said that bystanders from villages nearby joined. But at least in the Al Jazeera articles that I was reading, there were two. The first article was from 2 or 3 days ago, where it said there have been 70 casualties, and now it's been moved to 127 killed. But yeah, I don't know, no details like that. If there was a specific reason why everything suddenly went wrong and pretty much a battle erupted.
All right, yeah, maybe we'll follow this up with
Yeah,
a bit
no,
more detail
definitely.
next time. But yeah, that's a shame. Yeah. I mean, unless your country usually has a natural resources that is extremely precious, or or it starts attacking neighboring countries. Unless you do one of these things, media doesn't really cover you. So that seems to be always the case.
No, definitely. So speaking of media, actually, wow, we're transitioning very well. So what is this? You were telling me that the BBC is changing, the UK government is changing the head of the BBC?